This episode is brought to you by The Farmer's Dog, a service that delivers gently cooked, freshly made pet food straight to your door. Each balanced recipe is developed by board-certified nutritionists and clinically proven to support healthy aging. The Farmer's Dog, guided by science, driven by love. New customer? Get 50% off your first box at thefarmersdog.com/Spotify. Plus, you get free shipping.
Okay, only 10 more presents to wrap. You're almost at the finish line. But first... there, the last one. Enjoy a Coca-Cola for a pause that refreshes.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states or situations.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good day, dear listener, from wherever you are watching / listening to this. As always, I'm your host of Erith Town TV and the Dockers Debate, Michael Avery, and with my co-host, Robert Grant. Watcher, how was your Christmas?
Lovely, thank you very much. Yeah, lovely day, lots of food, lots of drink, loads of cheese. I mean, like, so much cheese. And port.
Are you a fan of the blue? As an old man, I've taken to Tawny Port in my old age. It's a nice accompaniment to a good blue cheese. Yep, absolutely. And as someone who likes to have plant-based food, plant-based cheese is not great.
No. And you had a nut roast, I presume.
Nut roast as well. Lots of potatoes, lots of veg. As you can imagine.
I don't know where you live with yourself.
I'm 23. This diet was done to me. No, but as you can see, dear listener, dear viewer, we are here today at our beloved Stanmore Stadium to discuss recent events. Because there's been quite a lot going on.
There's been a lot of events.
And we feel there's been a lot of photos and statements and comments.
Yeah.
But not a great deal from us who you all love dearly. Where do we start? I mean, we did have a little list which we've left in the banks of our head. But we could start with the... basically September to Christmas. How do you think we've had the season?
I think it's been hard going. I think it's, second season syndrome. It's been, that difficult second album, all that kind of stuff. It hasn't gone as well as we would have hoped, given how well we did last season. I know we dropped off a bit towards the end, but we haven't seemed to have kicked on this season a bit, which is disappointing. Everyone's doing their best and all the rest of that kind of stuff, but I think what doesn't help is, we've had a whole bunch of players leave. We've had a whole bunch of new players come in. It takes time for them to gel, to get to know each other, to know where they're going to pass the ball to, where they're going to run to, what runs they're going to make and all that kind of stuff. So we've struggled a bit with that, and it has started to come together a little bit, but it's a bit up and down. And obviously results haven't really gone our way because it is unforgiving at this level. Yeah. So, yeah, I think the thing is, as well, is losing such big players early on hasn't helped neither. We all know Harry's out for a while, but we have seen him, doing some warm-up stuff, so he's back. He's getting back into rhythm, if you will. Tom Ash, a huge player for the club. Mal Turner joined on loan pre-season. He's had a few weeks out where he's been injured. Dexter was out in the last game, down here especially. It's been tough. I think the frustrating for me as somebody who watches Erith Town from years ago, and then when we moved over here, and now we're in the FB League, is I don't think we're that far off, and I don't think the league position or the results massively are saying, like, it makes it seem like it's worse than it is. I just think that some results, like the 7-3 Margate, weren't great, but we've lost a lot of late goals.
Yeah, and that's what where. I think we're very unlucky.
I think because the games these days are not 90 minutes or even 93 minutes. They're 97, 98, 99 minutes because they added time,
Yeah.
And I think what's happened is players, they get tired, it's hard, it's graft. And then when it gets to that kind of 90, 91, 92, when you should still be on it and still be, we've conceded silly goals in that last dying seconds of injury time. And that will come back and bite you. If you're not on it from all of that time, it will come back and bite you. So you're right, we haven't been far away. And, if we had a little bit, if we had a little bit of a run of luck, in some cases, we'd have maybe drawn some games that we lost, or we'd have won some games that we drew, and the table would have a totally different complexion. But unfortunately, it is the way it is. That said, it should be something that's easy to rectify. It should be something that, we can get people to get on it and to remain on it and to stay on it for the entire period of the game's live. It shouldn't be that difficult to turn around. And I'm looking forward to a much better second half of the season.
Yeah, and for me, the reason we said it as well, when we're putting a bit more of a positive spin on it, is, we've got a draw at Faversham, as management said. Beat Three Bridges, top of the league. Sheppey United, who, when we played them, they were down. They weren't doing too great, but I think they're about 10th or 11th now. Got 6 points against them. So when we want to, we get the points against the big boys. Or not the big boys.
But much better against the teams are above us than we are in the teams around us, which is a bit strange.
The thing that's getting me with this season as well, I don't know about you. We said it on a preview show of our podcast that the standard of the league looks better than it did last year with respect to some teams in last year. I mean, Beckenham were there or thereabouts last year. Then they were like Croydon, they're flying. They were doing really well, and they struggled last year. Faversham came up. They're in the top 4. Three Bridges, who obviously didn't go up, but top are in the top 2 now. It's a tough league. It is a tough league, and I think what's also, you want to be competitive in everything. Don't get me wrong, but we've played a lot of games. We've had a lot of games go to penalties. Dartford from the top made was one of them. We've had London Senior Cup. We've had Kent Senior Cup. FA Vars, FA Cup, and the prelims both prelims round went to replays. It's been a long shot, but don't get me wrong, it's not been tiresome. Imagine it seemed like it is, but it's not been tiresome. It has been enjoyable. I just think at times lately luck's not been with us.
No, absolutely. So exactly what saying that. I think that little twist of luck here and there, we would have had much different results, and we'd be in a much different place, and we'd be having a much different conversation. But you've got to look ahead, and you've got to say, hopefully Harry's due back soon. He is our main goals right at the end of the day. Hopefully some of the other players, we can start to think about getting them back. And who knows, one or two in, one or two, changes here and there. And second half of the season can be much more positive. I think it means that the club as a whole has to come together, and particularly the players on the pitch, obviously, but we all have to come together and say, what is it we need to do to make this thing work? Because they very well say we want to do is to go down after only 2 seasons. It would be a crying shame after the glorious way that we came up.
But also, not just the way we come up, but like you said, the work that so many...
Oh, yeah, but a lot of work gone into this.
Yeah, I was there's me, you especially, not compared to other people, but there'll be times that we if you don't know, if you're a listener, we also write the program, so we're up till late writing programs, and we know other committee members come down to the ground to do this and that. A lot of work's gone into this, and I'm not too negative or down bit yet, because I still think we've got enough that we'll get out of it, and I really, really do. And you see glimmers, like Destiny's come in a new signing over the last few weeks. We edit the videos down for the social media, don't we? And his work rate's exceptional. Dexter's been a great signing. JJ has been, it just gets better every single season. Bertie Vella spent a lot of time out injured last year. It's been brilliant when he has been in. Tom O'Connor. You can mention so many players. Mal Turner was one we've mentioned before. AJ Dyer.
Definitely we have, as a spoiler, definitely we have enough quality in the team. It's just, first of all, getting them all on the pitch at the same time has been a struggle. But I think once we're on there, it's like it's because they haven't all been available all the time, because it's getting them to gel as a team. It takes time for that to happen. It happens to teams that are at the very top of the pyramid, and it happens to teams everywhere. it takes time for teams to get to know each other, to figure out how each other plays, to learn the little runs that they make and whether they want the ball to feet or just in front of them or however they want to play. It takes time to get that together. Once you've got that together and that you've got the team gelling in that way, and they're playing it, they start to play with a bit more confidence and a bit more freedom, knowing what's going on around them. Then you can start to think, tactically, things start to come together better and results will start to come. And then that breeds more confidence and so on and so forth. We saw it ourselves in the fantastic season. We have a couple of seasons ago when we did come up. That season, we just got better and better and better as the season. And everybody was going into every game expecting the right result.
Yeah.
We never went into a game thinking this is going to be tricky. We went into every game thinking we'd win this. And we need to get back to that. Yeah, we definitely need to get back to that. And we will. I think we will. It's going to take a little bit of time, but get this Christmas soon. And we've been quite lucky over this Christmas with no Boxing Day match and so on. So having a little bit of a break is going to be good for everyone. We should be coming back to the upcoming games a bit more fresh. All with too much turkey. All with too much turkey, but we won't be putting them all on the scales yet. But or us, yeah. But especially not me. But yeah, we should be coming back a bit more fresh and bang up for it for a second half of the season. I feel you'll be ground. Yeah. Let's get it from in the room out the way, wherever it should be. Talking about people put on weight at Christmas. Yeah, putting the ring. At the announcement, Adams stepping and away, not down, away, because he's obviously going and said, "Well, you wasn't here that game." No. What was your thoughts when you heard when I rang you and said, "This is what's happened. We need to put," because obviously, again, we're going to do the social media website. We need to get these things prepared. What was your thoughts?
I'll be honest, I wasn't entirely surprised. I think it's become a bit of a slog, and and it happens at all levels. There comes a point where a manager is saying stuff, and the team have heard it all before. And there comes a point where they switch off and the manager's still saying things. And then they may well be the right things to say, but the message isn't getting across. It's not getting across as effectively as it did. And at that point, you can either get rid of all the players or you can get rid of the manager. Not get rid of, but, you can change.
Other clubs would have. Yeah. But you can make a change there. And so when it was decided that change it would be the right things to happen, I wasn't entirely surprised. I think it's a massive shame. I think he's done incredible things at the club as manager, not least getting us into this division, winning cups, and getting us promoted and stuff. And it's going to be a massive shift until we find that right. But then again, he hasn't disappeared completely. So his influence will still be around. His positive influence will still be around in lots of other things that go on. It's just he's taken a different position.
Yeah, and I think the thing is as well, when you see managers at some clubs, they just manage the team. Sometimes they don't even coach them, like they've just managed the team on the days of the day or the age of the coaches. Well, I can't really put into words unless you know him and know what I'm saying. Not you, obviously, you, listener, viewer. Just how much work Adam puts into this club. Not just the first team, but everything. He helps, he liaises with the reserve team, the 23s from previous years. He's always in contact with them. He's always talking to me. Paul saying I've been choked up there then. He's always talking to me about the youth teams and how they're getting on. And
but he was positions there. He's been doing groundsman work.
Yeah, him and David Leo.
She's up to scratch and all that kind of. There's so much stuff that goes on, that's it's like it's like a swan or a duck, and what you see above the surface is all serene and it's one thing. What's going on under the surface is kind of like mad because there's tons of stuff that needs to be done, tons of stuff that has to go on, and you guys, you don't get to see or hear about most of it, but without it, the club doesn't function. Yeah, and so yeah, there's tons of work that goes on that nobody ever hears about, but like you say, it's But it's like, it is, I think, in some ways, whilst it's a shame, I think it's actually quite a good idea for him to make that decision that he wants to step aside.
And he's helping with more behind the scenes as well. And the thing is as well is that this is what we were saying earlier on about Harry's got us up to this level as a club. You think again, when I used to go down to way before I got involved and helped out with anything and, like help behind the scenes, and I'd go and watch at the leisure centre, the infamous leisure centre, and the Schmerfley Leisure Centre. Great, good swimming pool. But there was a team, there was a community feel as such, but it was very small. It was very condensed, and compared to some of the other teams in the area, which we're not going to name names, we was always felt a little bit smaller and a little bit more humble. And this is where this was years ago, by the way. Like again, years back when I first went down. But I think the statement came out from the owner where it says, obviously in 2017 when we didn't have a lot, I think it was said, or something similar to that. We've went from being a small, humble club playing in a leisure centre to arguably, you take out like the National League teams, or even like Ifnham Prem teams like Dartfords and Wellings and all these, and the Millwalls and the Gillinghams and Charles, to one of the biggest non-league teams in the area. And I will go on record and say that. I mean, a lot of teams might have some history and pedigree, and we won this then, and we won that then, and da-da-da-da-da. But where Erith Town are now, for us, it's a little bit kind of, well, we've got interim managers in place, we need to do some. A lot of teams in this area would love to be in our position, and they look at us and go, what a well-run club.
Yep.
And I think Adam Woodward and Mark, the owner, and obviously a few of him as well, but them two specifically put an awful lot of hard work in. Yeah. And I think that is an incredible legacy that they've left, not just at this club and this first team, but, Adam said, I remember him saying, he doesn't want a team anymore, he wants a club. Now you've done, I know, he
said it before. This is not a project. Okay, this is a football club. And everything that goes around that, around community and around the team and everybody pulling together all this, and because it's a football club, this is not some project. Because the other thing about projects is they begin and end, and this is not like that. This is not something that's going to end. It's going to keep going and keep going and keep going, and hopefully grow and grow. So yeah, I think it's worth talking as well about the fact that we have settled on interim managers currently, which is Aaron Jeffrey and Callum McGeard, who are currently both first-team players. Aaron has had a assistant manager role within the team recently.
Callum was announced as player coach as well, so they're down on the management team.
So they have experience of both sides, the white line, if you like. Having to listening to Adam, getting instructions, so on and so forth, playing the way he wants to play, but also of the coaching side of it, and so on and so forth. I think that's going to be. It's interesting because you sometimes wonder, can you be player manager? Can you do that? Is that something that you could take on comfortably? But I think it'll be a good experience for them, but I think it'll be good for the club to have different voices. Well, not just one.
Well, was a player manager when he won he was Champions League, won the European, or did the double, should I say. Millwall's Dennis Wise was player manager and got a CFA Cup final. So if Aaron Jeffrey can get us to either the Champions League or the FA Cup final within 2 years, he's done well.
And Callum McGeard or Vasily Koka.
They're not fun to do that. But no, in all seriousness, they're two experienced players, and they won't mind me saying they're two of the elder players in the squad. Erith Town's also historically always had young teams. And I think if Adam was to step down, they're probably some of the best to step in and take over, if you will. Tough one. This leads us straight to the next one. Straight into a local derby against BCD.
Yes. Always a good game. Always a little bit blood and thunder. But yeah, very much a local rivalry and local passions being inflamed for this one.
The reverse fixture was the 2-1 at their place. And it was a disappointing game. Good goals in the game. I remember that. I remember there were some good goals in the game and the weather was nice. But both teams are, unfortunately for Erith Town, in the bottom four. Both teams, if they win and results go their way and they get big enough goal swing, can see themselves either getting back within touching distance or actually at the bottom four.
Yeah,
it's going to be a tight one.
Yep, this is your classic archetypal cliched 6-pointer. Yeah, definitely, without a doubt. And
And yeah, I think it'll be a good game, but hopefully it'll be a good crowd as well because they're only up the road, literally in Crayford. So not very far for anyone to come. So come, but yeah, good crowd. It'll be a big game. Every single tackle will be cheered. Everything you win will be cheered. Everything will be important. And getting those points on the board, especially against your local rivals when we owe them one. Is good. Would be sweet if we can swing that.
Yeah, and to be fair to VCD, I remember we went down there and Convict was very nice to us. So we'll at least be nice to them. But it's
No, we're nice to everyone.
yeah, lovely fan. But you said about the fans and people coming down to the game. I've got to say, I think that the atmospheres this season, and especially behind the goal, when you've got the youth teams who come watch here, and they go around and go now, we're really creating good atmospheres down there. And I was talking to Dexter, funnily enough, some of them have got a little song through that, but he loves all the fans coming along, singing along, but a few years ago we only had about 3 or 4 behind the goal, granted everyone's in the main stand, but now you're getting about 20, 25 young people with drums behind the goal and everything like that. We need to add to that, don't we? So we need to get more people down for that.
Yeah, we need as many people down as possible. We need them to keep coming all year round. But for the local derby, you definitely want to see those numbers really swell and get those drums going and that kind of stuff. So, cool.
So from to 2026, how can you see it going? I know you touched on you think we might be good enough to get out there and we might be able to do this. What do we think?
I think it's like everything. I think if we pull together as a club, recognizing that we're in a bit of a bother and we need to get out of it, but knowing that we've got the quality to do that, and I think with different voices taking control of training and tactics and all the rest of that kind of stuff, that change is as good as the rest, as they say, and I think that little change could give us a nice little bounce. I think it might lift a few people because it is a change, because it is different, because there'll be new expectations, different expectations. So I think it'll give people a bit of a lift. But I reckon, and also some people coming back and so on, I'm confident that in the second part of the year we can do. I'm not saying we're going to storm up the table, but I think we've got enough in us and enough quality and enough going on to drag ourselves out of that bottom four and get a few places higher than that, so we're not having to look. So we're not looking over our shoulders and looking down below and worrying constantly. I think it is quite tight, and it only takes a few results to go your way. Couple of wins, couple of defeats elsewhere, and suddenly you've shot up 4 places in the league. And I think it's going to stay like that for a lot of the season until we get towards the very end.
If you look as well, we said that September was the month where we was unbeaten some 8 games, and I know there was 2 cup games in there as well. And annoyingly, we barely moved.
Yeah,
and that's kind of what you're saying. You'll go on a few wins, and you won't rock up the table, but you can catch the pack up.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
You won't, like I say, you won't win 4 and then jump up to 10th, but you could win 4 and then you're back in around that 17th, 18th and pushing. So it's what we said at the start of the season. We said, is it a particularly good division? Jury's still out for me compared to last year. Maybe I presumed a bit too early, but it's certainly more competitive, I think. I think that with your bottom 4 last year, with respect to the bottom 4, they were pretty much down by January. Look at the bottom 4 of the table now. None of them are out of it yet. And like they said, write us off at your peril, if you will.
Yeah, and yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think I don't think that the quality of the league is particularly worse. I just think the teams are more evenly matched than they ever have been. There isn't, 2 people who are outstanding and 12, 13, 14 points clear at this time of the year, like there has been before in other seasons. So I think everything's much more evenly matched. But the thing to watch for that is, yes, you win 2, 3 games, people around you lose a couple of games, suddenly you've shot up to suddenly you find yourself 17th, 16th, whatever.
But at the same time, it can go the other way as well because it's so tight and it's going to stay. I think it's going to remain tight for most of the year. And it won't be until the last 4 to 6 weeks that we start to see teams really drop away. Because by that time, fatigue and everything else just let's say in. And some people will be, or some of the teams at the bottom would have already been making plans for what they're going to do when they're in a different league for the following season. So it can work both ways. But you have to remain confident. You have to think to yourself, we've seen ourselves, we've got quality in the team. We can play good football. We tend to play better when we play the better teams because they play football, we play football, and we're quite good at it. So you have to remain confident, and I think we'll get out of it. I think we will. I'm not saying, as I say, we're going to fly up the table, but I think we've got enough stable for relegation. And then next season, we come back stronger, start again.
Absolutely. Well, I think that's a great way to end it. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for being dragged up to the ground. Always a pleasure. Yeah, never short. Yeah, it's been good fun. We should do this more often. Yeah, why not? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But thank you, dear listener, dear viewer, for paying attention to this and listening to us ramble on about the joys of non-league football in Erith Town. It's an exciting place to be, dear listener. As a neutral, if you're a neutral, get down here. You will not be bored. Let's just say that. One way or another. To the fans of the club, I hope you had a lovely Christmas. To all the youth teams who I oversee and help with, well done this year, and keep going, keep working hard. You will get your rewards at the end of the season, no doubt. To the first team, keep working hard, well done, you'll get your rewards by the end of the season, no doubt. And to everyone else associated with Erith Town, I hope you had a lovely Christmas and a very happy New Year, and we will see you here for VCD Athletic on the 3rd of January. On for Abdul Douglas, 1, 2, 3. Abdul Douglas.